Have you ever wondered what would happen if ordinary people like teachers or scientists became mankind's last hope against an alien invasion? That's what happens in Every Day We Fight, a game that takes classic sci-fi and turn-based tactics elements but blends them into a unique and fresh experience. It was recently announced that Every Day We Fight will be launching into early access on July 10th, and with a public demo coming to the Steam Next Fest in June, Hooded Horse was generous enough to provide a preview build for me to check out and share with you. In this video, I'll break down the basic world and mechanics and help you decide if this is a game that belongs on your wish list. At the core of Every Day We Fight is the real-time exploration of the city, part of a region that was already divided and warring amongst themselves when the aliens invaded. Those aliens, called the Rifters, with their own garbled language and everything,
what the hell?
Came to harvest Elixium, a resource that the humans didn't even know existed. The Rifters placed a dome over the city and completely froze everything in time. Civilians going about their daily routine, soldiers in mid-battle, even the cats. Rest easy, Splatter. This time element is very important and ties into a lot of the other mechanics in the game that I'll talk about. You play as the Thorns, a small resistance group of people that, for unknown reasons, weren't affected by the time freeze. Stationed in the sewers underground, these aren't heroes, just ordinary people trying to survive. In fact, the majority of the Thorns were wiped out pretty quickly, leaving the three characters you have as the last known hope for humanity. Leo Hader, a teacher and hardcore conspiracy theorist who joined the resistance after seeing countless civilians taken out by the Rifters. Vivian Toussaint, a scientist with two career military officers for parents who was injured during the war and woke up after the Rifters' dome was already in place. And Dylan Fortis, a pacifist that was drafted into the war young and forced to commit crimes he's now ashamed of, so he lies to the others and says he's just a refugee. These three are banded together reluctantly, trying to find Dr. Faber's lab, a scientist who may have some insight on the aliens. It's not quite that simple though, as they run into a Rifter named Karg along the way, who mentions a previous fight with the Thorns and says they won't be killing him again, but they don't technically die. After being defeated, everything goes white and the Thorns find themselves back on the bridge where they started, headed towards the lab, but at a different time of day and different circumstances. That's right, we're caught in a time loop. This introduces the roguelike elements of Every Day We Fight. Death is not the end, but instead gives you the opportunity to start a new timeline back in the sewer hideout with the Thorns. Each time you restart, the gear that's available, including weapon modifications, throwables, and health items, are randomly generated from the pool of things that you found while exploring the ruins of the city. Any character can use any weapon, which is good because sometimes you'll end up with all shotguns or all sniper rifles, but they do also have their own specific skill trees and abilities that may lean more towards certain weapons or roles. As you progress and level up, different skills and teamwork synergies become available, making for a variety of tactical options. This might sound kind of standard, but the combat itself is a very refreshing take on modern turn-based tactics. I'll talk about that more in the next section. After you've got your gear, you head out into the city and see what you can learn to progress your knowledge of the aliens and the situation at hand. There are objectives to push the story forward, but where you go is really up to you. A lot of recent tactics games have started to use this hybrid style of exploration, and I'm curious what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments if you prefer this free roam style and enjoy looking around the world, or if you prefer a more streamlined, straightforward thing like XCOM with missions that you go on. I personally took my time wandering around the different neighborhoods and taking in some of the sights. Searching the city can yield scrap for crafting, new items to add to your starting pool, and discoveries that dive into the lore and backstory of the world, with the characters actually being pretty talkative, chiming in and giving their thoughts, allowing you to learn more about your party as you go. There was actually quite a few buildings that could be entered, with weak walls and ruined areas hiding items and secrets, encouraging and rewarding exploration. On top of that, scattered around the city are hidden thorn stashes, your makeshift safe houses. Completing optional objectives will reward you with different tier keys, bronze, silver, or gold, letting you unlock the chests in these hideouts. Each tier gives progressively better loot drawn from everything you've discovered so far, providing incentive to complete objectives and discover more items, or also being a good way to maybe change out your weapons if you didn't get a favorable roll in the sewers at the start. Manholes are placed throughout the city, and in a nice quality of life move, can be used for fast travel after they're discovered. The entire city wasn't available to me, but the map is a decent size, and I look forward to seeing more of it after launch. In traditional roguelike fashion, the further you progress, the more means you will have to discover and open up new areas and possibilities. But it's not all just a relaxing stroll downtown. Rifter patrols and combat zones are set up that you can attempt to avoid, or design an ambush and initiate combat directly. However, the combat here is not the turn-based tactics that you're used to. Tired of those RNG hit chances and 95% misses? Every Day We Fight uses a free aim only first-person ballistics system where you take control of every shot that you fire, which means no getting XCOM'd. Well, unless your aim is pretty terrible. Taking this one step further, line of sight becomes extremely important, and you can lean out from cover or switch shoulders to get the angles that you need. Finding that sweet spot can make an enemy behind cover not quite as safe as they thought they were. It's almost like a slowed down FPS game. Enemies will react to your shots and move, forcing you to hit them on the run. This is another unique twist to the combat, as every one of your characters will also have one reflex action per turn. For example, if you're about to be shot at, you can trigger the reflex and attempt to move into better cover and negate some of that damage. This is great for dodging lethal attacks like grenades. Those reflex points only become more valuable as you level up too. Triggering Vivian's ability to finish off an enemy wounded by another character, Leo's counterfire when an ally is being suppressed, or the surprisingly effective punch Dylan throws when a Rifter gets into his personal space. Combined with the manual aiming and shooting, this reflex system makes for dynamic, player-controlled combat with turns that keep you moving and thinking one step ahead. If you ever wanted more player agency from your turn-based tactics, Every Day We Fight may be exactly what you're looking for. Taking on fights doesn't come without its risks though. The more disruption you create for the Rifters around the city, the higher your heat level will get. A higher heat level means tougher enemies and bigger squads will begin to show up, and since you're already always outnumbered, that can make things exponentially more difficult. Strategically, this translates to deciding whether patrols are worth engaging or not, especially early on when your item variety and skills are a little bit more limited. Sometimes it may be better to just keep your head down and creep your way past if you can. But just remember that first-person aiming isn't only for ambushes. You can toggle to it at any time, and while you're exploring around the city, you might find some opportunities to shoot things like gas tanks that can blow open new routes or reveal hidden areas. It's nothing big, but it's another nice little wrinkle that Every Day We Fight uses to encourage creative exploration of the world. It's difficult to nail down a direct comparison for this game. It takes a lot of tried and true, maybe tropey things, but innovates on them in a way that we haven't really seen before. I myself am not a huge roguelite fan, but I will admit that it adds a little bit of intrigue into the gameplay loop here, and I'm looking forward to see how all of this really comes together. If you're interested in Every Day We Fight, there's a Steam link in the description so you can add it to your wish list. I know I'll be making some more videos on it when early access rolls around, but if you're looking for more coverage on other upcoming strategy and tactics games, feel free to click through to the videos that are on screen now.